In this video, I will be discussing about the central limit theorem. So, are you familiar with the distribution skewed to the left and skewed to the right? If not, this is what we call the skewed to the left distribution. So, for example, yung scores ninyo sa exam, merong nakakuha ng 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So, dito sa 10, mas marami yung nakakuha ng score na 10 kaysa doon sa 50. And dito sa 50, mas maliit yung students na nakakuha ng score na 50. So, yung curve niya is pag ganito. Nandito yung tail, nandito yung peak. And since yung peak niya is nandito sa left, so ito yung tinatawag nating skewed to the left. Now, kapag naman sinabi natin skewed to the right, mas maliit yung nakakuha ng 10, 20, 30, 40, then 50. Mas marami yung nakakuha ng 50. Mas maraming students ang nakakuha ng score na 50, while yung score na 10 is mas maliit lang yung nakakuha ng 10 na scores. So, yung curve niya is pag ganito, nandito sa right yung peak niya and yung tail niya is nandito sa left. So, ito yung tinatawag nating skewed to the right. Now, before we proceed to the discussion, let's first observe these illustrations. So, these are histograms that shows the number of cases to obtain a tree upon a certain successive trial of rolling an unbiased six-sided dice. So, ito yung histogram that shows the number of cases na kapag ni-roll natin yung dice, ang magpapakita na face ng dice is yung may 3 na dots. So, sa first illustration, it shows that the probability to obtain a 3 in 10 trials, yung sample size natin is 10, na ni-roll ang dice, and ganito yung naging curve niya. So, skewed to the right, to the left siya. Skewed to the left since nasa left yung ating peak. Now, for the second illustration, it shows that the probability to obtain a 3 in 20 trials na ni-roll ang dice. So, nag-increase tayo ng another 10 trials, kaya yung sample size ay naging 20. And ganito yung naging curve niya. Still skewed to the right pa rin siya. So, sa third illustration, it shows the probability to obtain a 3 in 30 trials na ni-roll ang dice. So, nag-increase tayo ng another 10 trials, kaya yung sample size natin ay naging 30. And naging ganito na siya. So, it is approximately approaching normal distribution. And kapag naman 100 na yung ating sample size, ganito na siya. Nagiging normal distributed na siya. So, nagiging bell-shaped na siya. So, observing the 4 illustrations presented, as the sample size increases, it approaches a normal distribution. So, the sampling distribution of sample mean approaches normal distribution as the sample size increases. And that is how the central limit works. It states that the sampling distribution of the sample mean approaches a normal distribution as the sample size increases. So, if the population is skewed, meaning is skewed to the left or skewed to the right, the sample size should be at least 30, so that the sampling distribution of the sample mean is approximately normal. So, kagaya sa example natin kanina, it is already approximately approaching normal distribution since yung sample size niya is 30. So, and if the population is normal, of course, it follows that the sampling distribution of the sample mean is also normal regardless of the size. So, kahit hindi 30 and above yung sample size niya, as long as normal yung population, it follows that the sampling distribution of the sample mean is also normal. So, yung area ng normal curve natin is equal to 1. So, since sabi natin kapag normal distribution, symmetric siya about 0. So, ibig sabihin kapag 0.5 yung area na sa right side, then of course 0.5 din yung area sa left side. So, let's have here an example. When going on a walk, a normal population of male teenagers has a mean time to get dressed 15 minutes and a standard deviation of 8 minutes. If 20 male teenagers are randomly selected, what is the probability that they will get dressed in less than 20 minutes? So, sabi natin kanina na kailangan at least 30 yung sample size natin para yung sampling distribution of sample mean natin will approach on approximately normal distribution. Pero dito, since 20 lang yung sample size natin, pero sabi dito, normal population. So, yung population niya is normal. So, still, kahit less than 30 yung sample size natin, it will still approach approximately normal distribution. So, first, let's identify the given. So, yung population mean natin is equal to 15 minutes. And yung population standard deviation natin is equal to 8 minutes. Yung sample size natin is equal to 20. And yung sample mean natin is 20 minutes. So, next one, we're going to convert it into z-score. So, yung formula ng z-score is the sample mean minus the population mean over the standard deviation over square root of n. So, mag-substitute na tayo. Yung sample mean natin is equal to 20 minus yung population mean natin is equal to 15 divided by the standard deviation, which is 8, divided by the square root of n, square root of 20. So, this will be equal to 2.80. And on sa normal curve, 2.80 is somewhat here. And since sabi nga dito, less than 20 minutes, so ito yung doon sa left side, yung shaded area niya. So, starting from 2.80 pa left, yung ma-shaden na, yung isa-shade natin sa normal curve. Next one, use the C table to find the indicated probability. Yung probability that the sample mean is less than 20 minutes. So, yung corresponding z-score nito is z less than 2.80. So, tignan natin yung table kung ano yung value ng 2.80. So, since 2.80, kunin muna natin yung 2.8 dito sa left side. So, nandito yung 2.8. And then, yung 0.00 is nandito sa taas. So, kung saan sila nag-intersect, then yun yung value niya. So, we have 0.99744 or 99.74%. Therefore, the probability that the male teenagers will get dressed in less than 20 minutes is 99.74%. So, dito sa shaded area is yung 99.74%. Okay, so let's move on to the next example. Do you know that in Miss Universe pageants, many queens do their own makeup during pageant? So, if a sample size of 20 is randomly selected from a normal population of Miss Universe contestants, and the average time it takes for them to finish doing their makeup is 40 minutes, while the standard deviation is 5 minutes, what is the probability that they will finish doing their makeup more than 38.4 minutes? So first, let's identify the given. So we have a sample size equal to 20, and then we have the population mean, which is equal to 40 minutes. Next is the standard deviation, 5 minutes, and ang ating sample mean is 38.4. Next, we're going to convert it into z-score. Sample mean minus the population mean over the standard deviation over square root of n. So, yung sample mean natin is 38.4 minus yung population mean natin na 40 divided by the standard deviation, which is 5, divided by the square root of n. Yung n natin is 20, so square root of 20. And this is equal to negative 1.43. So, doon sa normal curve, negative 1.43 is somewhat here. And since sabi dito is more than or more than in the normal curve, negative 1.43 is somewhat here. And since sabi niya, more than, so kapag more than or greater than, yung masya-shaden sa normal curve is nandito sa right side. So kapag less than, dito naman sa left side. So next, use the z-table to find the indicated probability. So yung probability that the sample mean is greater than 38.4. And yung corresponding z-score nito is z is greater than negative 1.43. So, tignan natin sa z-table yung negative 1.43. So, negative 1.4 is here. And then, yung 0.03 is nandito. So, yung intersection nila is this one. 0.07636. So, since sabi niya is greater than, kailangan natin i-subtract yon sa 1. So, 1 minus yung 0.7636. 0.7636. And this will be equal to 0.92364 or 92.36%. So, yung 92.36% is yung shaded part. And so, the probability that some randomly selected Miss Universe contestants will finish doing their makeup more than 38.4 is 92.36%. So let's have another example. The number of teenagers going to beach during weekends has a mean of 88 and a standard deviation of 40. If a sample of size 50 is taken, what is the probability that it has a mean between 84 and 95? So, walang sinabi dito na normal population. Pero yung sample size niya is 50, which is greater than 30. So, ibig sabihin, yung sampling distribution of sample mean is will still approximately approach normal distribution. So, let's first identify the given. Yung population mean natin is equal to 88. And then, yung standard deviation natin is 40. Yung sample size is 50. And meron tayong dalawang sample mean. So, indicate natin siya as x bar sub 1, 84, and x bar sub 2, 95. Next, convert it to z-score. So, yung z-score formula is the sample mean minus the population mean over the population standard deviation over the square root of n. So, yung sample mean natin is dalawa. So, unahin muna natin yung sample mean natin na ito, 84. So, 84 minus the population mean, which is 88. divided by the standard deviation, which is 40, divided by the sample size, which is 50, square root of 50, and this is equal to negative 0.71. Next, isolve natin yung pangalawang sample mean natin, which is 95. So, dito, 95 minus 88 divided by 40, yung standard deviation, divided by square root of 50. And this is equal to 1.24. So, doon sa normal curve, negative 0.71 is somewhat here, and 1.24 is somewhat here. Now, since sabi niya, between 84 and 95, then yung shaded area is this one, sa gitna. Next, use the z-table to find the indicated probability. Yung probability that the sample mean is greater than 84 and less than 95. So, yung z-score nito is z is greater than negative 0.71 and less than 1.24. So, tignan natin sa z-table yung value ng negative 0.71. So, nandito yung negative 0.7 and then yung 0.01 is nandito sa taas. So, yung intersection nila is 0.23885. So, dito lagay natin 0.23885. And then, tignan ulit natin sa z-table yung 1.24. So, dito naman, andito yung 1.2 and andito yung 0.04. So, yung intersection nila is this one. So, yung 1.24 is 0.89251. So, ang kailangan natin gawin is to subtract. Kailangan mauna yung mas malaki. So, 0.89251 minus yung mas maliit, which is 0.23885. So, that is equal to 0.65366 or 65.37%. So, the probability of randomly selected 50 teenagers to have a sample mean between 84 and 95 is 65.37%. So, ito yung 65.37%, yung shaded area. Let's have another example. The mean age of Miss Universe contestants is 22 years old, and the probability that the contestants have an age greater than 23 has a z-score of 0.6849. If a sample size of 30 is randomly selected, what is the standard error? So, bago natin kuhanin yung standard error and kung anong formula ang dapat natin gamitin, let's first identify the given. So, yung population mean natin is equal to 20, 22, and then yung sample mean natin is equal to 23. Yung z-score or yung z value natin doon sa z-table is 0.6849 and yung sample size natin is 30. So, we're going to find the standard error. Pero since hindi natin next we're going to find for the standard error. So, we have learned on the previous meetings that the formula for the standard error is equal to the sigma over the square root of n kapag yung population variance natin ay known. Pero hindi natin pwedeng gamitin itong formula na to since yung standard deviation natin or yung sigma is not given. So, ano yung gagamitin nating formula? So, we're going to use yung z-score formula. And then, mapapansin nyo na yung nasa baba, yung denominator natin is sigma over the square root of n, which is the same doon sa formulang ng standard error. So, kapag sinabi natin z is equal to the sample mean minus the population mean over the standard error, ay same siya dito. So, same itong formula na to sa formula na ito. So, dito sa formula na to, let's proceed to substitution. So, yung z-score natin is equal to 0.6849. 0.6849, which is it. Tapos, equals yung sample mean natin, which is 23, minus yung population mean natin na 22, divided by yung standard error. So, ito yung hahanapin natin. So, after the substitution, mag-cross multiply tayo. So, standard error times 0.6849 equals 23 minus 22, that's 1. So, for the next step, divide natin both sides with 0.6849 para ito na lang yung maiiwan dito sa left side. So, divide natin both sides. So, makakancel na ito. Maiiwan is the standard error, which is equal to 1 over 0.6849. And 1 divided by 0.6849 is equal to 1.46. So, ito yung standard error. The standard error is equal to 1.46. So, instead of substituting from this z formula up to this one, pwede natin gamitin yung we can therefore conclude na yung formula ng standard error is this one, which is equal to yung sample mean minus yung population mean, since yung 1 is nakuha natin by subtracting the sample mean and the population mean. Then, divide natin yung 0.6849 natin is yung z-score. So, divide natin sa z-score. So, pwede natin tong gamitin. So, pwede natin gamitin tong formula na to for the standard error. Sample mean minus the population mean over the z-score or yung z value doon sa z-table. So, that's it for this video. I hope you learned something.